Hey everybody, welcome to Artist Friends. I'm Mr. Bryant. I'm from Laurel Magnet School of the Arts in Laurel, Mississippi, where we're a whole schools, which means that we teach academics using art. And today I want to share some of that art with you. So to get started, we're going to grab some supplies. First, you need a pen or a pencil, 2 pieces of paper, some paint or some sort of color, whether that's crayons or markers, oil pastels, whatever you've got, that's what we're going to use. Then you need a paintbrush. And you need some water to wash your brush, some water to rinse your brush, and something to dry your brush with. So you choose what you have. This is what I have and what I use, but you use whatever you have at home. Even if you don't have paint, you can use crayons. Whatever we've got, it's all gonna work. So the first thing I want you to do before we get started at all, grab a pen or a pencil and meet me over here at a drawing meditation that we're gonna have a moment of mindfulness to get started. So everybody take your pen or pencil. We're gonna come over here to the overhead camera. Drawing helps you relieve stress and anxiety. It gives you time with yourself. So breathe and scan your body before we start. So everybody right now, take a deep breath through your nose and let it out through your mouth. It'd sound like this. And so I want you to release yourself of all the worries that you've got. Do you feel tense? Do you feel worried? No need. This exercise will help. So get your favorite pen or pencil and a piece of paper. Sit down comfortably and rest the tip of your instrument on the paper. Think of the feeling of your instrument on your fingerprints. We write often, but we rarely think of the feeling. How does yours feel? Does it feel rough or smooth? Do you hold your instrument gently or hard? How does yours feel? Let the drawing flow. Don't panic. Let it go. That's what we're going to repeat to ourselves as we do this exercise. We're not going to panic. We're not going to worry. And we're not going to think too much even. So what I want you to do is make different symbols, shapes, or lines. Whatever you choose, draw it. Don't draw something that you see, and don't even draw something from your imagination. Try to draw what you feel. Feelings are different than images. So as I'm drawing, I want to think about all the ways that I feel. Do I feel like everything is in order with a very straight line? Do I feel a little chaotic with a scribble? Do I feel a little angry with a zigzag line? What lines mean different things to you, and how do they make you feel? When you get tired or bored, change your lines or change your shape. Make them bigger, make them smaller, stretch it out. Just explore what you can do. Listen to your tool as it runs across the paper. What does it sound like? Do you ever listen to your pencil? Does it sound scratchy or smooth? So while you draw, I want you to pay attention to your thought process. Does it get in your way? Does it help you out? Are your thoughts telling you that you can't draw and you need to stop? Well, we're not going to listen to those thoughts. We're going to put them on our paper and just see what happens. While you're thinking about your thoughts, I want you to consider how critical our thoughts can be. We can be very negative if we don't think about it sometimes. We can criticize ourselves or others. So we have to be careful where we let our mind wander. Now, I want you to take those thoughts, even the negative ones, and I want you to thank them. Say thank you to your thoughts for getting your mind clear and ready to start as we begin an art lesson. So what we just did was a mindfulness exercise, and that's important for artists and for people everywhere. We're all artists, But the mindfulness exercise is important because mental health is important. And we have some tools that we can use to help keep our mental health in check and help us be aware of ourselves in our surroundings and in our place that we are. So what I want us to do really quickly is check in with our mental health. You just used a tool to help you get to know yourself a little bit. How did you feel throughout it? So start thinking those things. How did I feel when I was drawing? How do I feel right now? How did I feel yesterday? Am I expecting to feel different later on? What things are making me feel this way? Are they things I can control? Are they things that aren't in my control? And what can I do about that? Well, here's the thing. We have a mental health toolkit that we've got and we're going to talk about over here, and it's got 4 things in it. You can join me on the slide really quickly. We've got 4 tools. We've got distraction, which is what we just did. You can distract yourself. If you have some negative thoughts, what can you do about it? Go somewhere and do something different. Find something else to occupy your mind with. Distract yourself. It's a technique. Action, a verb, something that happens in the story, something that happens in real life. We can take actions to help us, to help lift ourselves out of kind of a different place mental health wise. One of those actions could be eating correctly, going to bed on time, things like that, things that we can do that we know will help us in the future. We can relax. I think drawing is relaxing, so I hope that you take from this lesson some relaxing techniques of art. And then also, we can think, and that seems pretty obvious, but when we think about ourselves and we reflect on how we feel, we're thinking specifically about our awareness and how we need to view the world. So it's a very important tool. We're going to get started with our art lesson now with some standards. So these standards have some academic language in it, and we're going to listen to it closely because we understand. What we're going to do today is we're going to synthesize, which means to translate or to make known, and relate knowledge and personal experiences to make art. That just means that we're going to take what we know and the experiences and the feelings and the emotions that we have, and we're going to take those and make art out of them. So I've got a statement over there that I want you to be able to say by the end of this. I want you to be able to say that I understand that through art making, people make meaning by investigating and developing awareness of perceptions, knowledge, and experiences. Those are just some bigger words that tell us that after this, I'm going to understand that I can use art to develop my awareness of myself in my own world and in the world around me. I want you to be able to say that I can develop a work of art based on observations. That's going to be a key word that we use, of surroundings. And then some essential questions really quickly. What I want you to look at is, how does engaging in creating art enrich people's lives? How does making art attune people to the surroundings? And how do people contribute to awareness and understanding of their lives and the lives of their communities through art making? As we go through this lesson, you're going to see how it affects you personally, and we're going to go from there. All right, so we've got our mental health toolkit. We've got our standards. We know that if we need to check in with ourselves, we can do that, pause as we do our artwork. We don't have to get frustrated. We can go back to that toolkit, use those tools, and come back to a place where we're ready to create art. Before we start getting ready to make the art, let's look at some of the principles of design behind art. We have some things that make up artwork. Now, you might not even know these things, and you still have made art, and you still made art. These are just terms that help us understand what we're seeing, why we're seeing that, why an artist chose that, and why we like this piece of artwork. If we find these elements in the artwork, they kind of help us tune in to what we're viewing and why we like what we're seeing. So the first thing is color. You'll see on the slide, we've got a slide over here. We've got color, shape, space, form, line, texture, and value. So come back to me and let's do some things to help us really understand those things. Our first one was color. Color, we represent it in a wheel. So with color, we're going to make our motions like this. So stand up wherever you are. Join me. When we use our body to understand things, we're using muscle memory. Our muscles remember stuff. And when we have moments that help us remember things, it helps our brain remember things. So when we add emotion to these concepts, it helps us understand. So we have color. So we made a color wheel. When I say the thing, you'll do it. So in my classroom, I'll be like, color, and everywhere the colors are going. So we've got color. We've got shape. For shape, I want you to take your finger and draw a shape. Now there's lots of shapes, and we'll talk about them another day, but you've got squares, triangles, circles, ovals, whatever you feel like drawing. When I say shape, draw your shape. So we've got color, shape, now space. Space in art is how far things are apart, or how far they are from each other in the painting. When we put space in art, we make it very interesting. If you look back at the slide, for space, I chose the symbol of two fingers, not touching each other, but far apart. If those fingers are here on the background, it looks kind of like this. So if these fingers are together, there's not as much movement in the image that you're seeing. But if they're apart, there's some tension right here in the middle. Why aren't they together? I want them to be together. I want them to either be pulling together or pull apart. That's the concept of space. And when we see that in art, it's exciting to us. So when we say space, in my class and this year especially, we like to have our own space. So when I say space, you're going to say what my kids say, give me my space. And push them out of the way. So we've got color, shape, space. And our next thing is form. And form is when we take a shape and we bring it to life by adding it to a 3D object. So for form, we're going to show them the form of our giant muscles. Everybody show me your muscles for form, right? Yeah. All right, here we go. So we've got color, shape, space. Give me my space. And form. Then we've got line. Just show me any line that you've got. Parallel lines, perpendicular lines, diagonal lines, whatever you've got into a line. Then we've got value. Value goes from high to low, so just like the rain falls, our value comes down. And then the last one is texture, and texture is super fun. Texture is what things feel like or what they look like they feel like. In art, you can have real texture, which is it actually feels that way, or you could have implied texture, which means it looks like it would feel that way. So for texture, we use our fingers. And some textures are very good. We like them. They're soft and smooth, but some are icky and yucky. So for texture, we're going to go like this, like we touched something that we either liked or we didn't like. We're showing our fingers. So we've got our 7 elements of art. Let's try them really quick. We've got color. We've got shape. We've got space. Give me my space. We've got form. We've got line. We've got texture. And we've got value. So we're going to come back to those as we go through this lesson and the next few. If you want to look back at the slides really quick, we've got some very important words that seem like they all mean the same thing, but they don't. I have to go this way. They don't mean the same thing. We have see, look, and observe. Those words seem like they mean exactly the same thing, sort of like to look. When I say I'm looking at something, I'm just looking at it, right? Well, let's think about it a little bit more and break it down. When I see something, I didn't mean to, it just happened, right? Somebody walked down the hallway and I saw them. I didn't intend on seeing them. They just were there. If I look at something, I meant to look at it. I wanted to look at it. I was looking that direction. I had a purpose for it, right? But the big word for art and for artists and for scientists and for mathematicians and everybody is observe. If we can understand what observe means, we can do so much with our art. So when we observe something, we don't just see something. We don't just look at it. We meant to look at it, and we did it with all of our focus and our attention. Okay, so here we go. Let's get started with the element of color. So we are all artists, and that means that we find joy, inspiration, peace, new ideas, meaning, and other qualities that make our lives better when we participate in all of the arts, whether that's dance, music, visual art. Today, let's see if we can discover some of those positive qualities by exploring and observing, keyword, the world around us. So if you will, join me back at the overhead thing. I'm going to put away my drawing meditation, and I'm going to come over here to another piece of paper. Supplies are important in art, right? And we like to have the right ones, but we also are creative. So if we don't have the supplies that we think we need, we can use our creative artist brains and our artist eyes to find other things. So if you don't have any of this stuff, please don't panic. Grab what you've got. So I've got a piece of paper, right? I've got some water. Now when we paint, I like to use this dog bowl, especially in my classroom, because kids are very good, my students are very good at knocking water over, but dog bowls are flat and they stay on the desk a little bit better. So I've got my water. One side of the water is for washing the brush, right? The other is for rinsing it. Then I've got my sponge to dry the brush off with afterwards. I've got my paints. Now this is where if you don't have paint, you certainly don't have to paint with me. You can use crayons or oil pastels. It's gonna be the same concept. We're just gonna explore color and the world around us or the world of our feelings. All right, so I'm gonna come to this paper. Now, when I'm outside looking around, especially in our state of Mississippi, I see a lot of greens and a lot of blues and a lot of forest type environments. There's even some plain type environments here in Mississippi. So when I do that, I like to actually observe the colors that I'm seeing. Now, when we're outside and you're looking at the grass somewhere, is it just green or are there more colors in that grass? So while we're doing this painting, I want you to notice something. When we add more value and more color and different colors to something, it takes it from a pretty plain, boring green background to something exciting. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take my brush and I'm gonna take some of this regular green paint, just regular green old paint, right? And I'm gonna turn my paper into landscape mode or horizontal so that we can do this. And I'm just gonna put a horizon line on this paper. Now, horizon line is just the line between the ground and the sky. So I'm gonna take this and go all the way across my paper with a horizon line. Now, as we do this project, you may not be an expert painter, but I know you're an expert artist, and we're gonna use our artist brains and our artist tools to do this. We're only gonna go from left to right or from right to left. You don't have to worry about going up and down. You don't have to worry about drawing a shape. You're just gonna go right to left using this to add the color. So I'm gonna fill up my page with the color as much as I can, spreading it out. Now, as we're adding this, you see that even with just this one color, there are moments of light and moments of dark, moments of excitement, moments of not as exciting. So I'm gonna fill up this whole bottom area with this regular grass green color. This is gonna represent the landscape below the horizon. Now, let's say you don't love grass fields, or you want to do a forest, or you don't want to do any of that. Well, we just got in touch with our feelings earlier when we were doing our mindful moment, and we know how we feel. So what you could do, instead of drawing what you see or what you saw or what you observed, is take a moment, get in touch with yourself, and decide how you feel and what feelings that you have. And we'll take those feelings and let's translate them onto our paper. The way that you do that is you don't think. When you're looking at the colors that you have, grab the first one that comes to your mind. That's what you want to put on the bottom of your horizon line. After you do that, look real quickly, glance, not see, not look or observe. Just see, just look really quickly. Decide on the next one, but you got to do it quickly. That's what your brain is thinking. That's what your brain is feeling. We're associating these colors with emotions, and we do that quickly. So I've got the bottom of my green on there. I'm going to put some blue on the top. I'll take this darker blue and put it up here. Right now I'm just getting the colors on the paper, right? We want to spread it across all the way in a linear motion, like I'm going left to right. So now, let's talk about how we use our brushes correctly. I wash the brush. I rinse the brush. I dry the brush. All right, now here's what I want you to notice as we're doing this. Look, okay, so I've got a landscape, right? You understand sort of by looking at this that this is the sky, this is the ground. But what if we made it more exciting by adding different colors and different values of these colors into it? So on the bottom, I'm gonna take this lime green, and now I'm gonna go and just streak it in a linear motion all the way across. And already I'm more excited about this piece of artwork. Do you see how there's a little bit more excitement here, a little more excitement here? So again, I'm changing colors. Gonna wash my brush, gonna rinse my brush, gonna dry my brush. All right, I'm gonna stay with the green. So I've got this emerald metallic green over here that I'm gonna use really quickly. And I'm gonna do the same thing. Remember, we're just going left to right. We're not doing anything fancy or crazy, but this is gonna be a beautiful work of art because we're focused and we're paying attention to the color that we're using. Do you see how when I add this little bit of a lighter kind of metallic-y green, It adds some excitement. So maybe you have a few colors of green at your house. In a crayon box, we usually have green and yellow green right beside each other, maybe a turquoise. Those are 3 greens right there. And if we add those to each other in this same manner, it's going to be just as exciting as this painting. So let's move forward really quickly. Wash the brush, then we rinse the brush, dry the brush. And I'm going to come up to the top up here because I like the blue, but I want something more exciting. I want something with more excitement. So I'm going to come over to the blues that I've chosen. I've got this shinier blue, a metallic sky blue, and I'm going to go streaking it across. Now, if I painted this all over like I did the first blue, it would just turn it this one color, right? So it's no good to just paint all over with the blue. Then we're back where we started with one, not boring color, because no color is boring, but one less interesting color, right? So I wash the brush, I rinse the brush, and I dry the brush. Now, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to continue adding colors, like maybe some purple. I love purple. I'm going to add some purple onto it. I'm going to continue adding colors, and I want you to continue adding colors. And when you're done, maybe you can share it to the hashtag MPB Classroom. Now, I'm going to keep working on mine. You keep working on yours. Take it as far as you want to, and just look and observe at how exciting it is when we use color in more than just one flat way. I hope that you enjoyed our lesson today. To sum it up really quickly, it's important to check in with ourselves to see how we're feeling so that we can properly express our emotions. You are an artist. You find life and beauty all around you because you have an artist's eyes. And then the third thing we learn is that observing is looking with intention with your artist's eyes and your powers of observation. You can create a world of beauty through artwork inspired by the things and the places around you, as well as the feelings inside of you. Thank you, artist friends. See you next time.